Hello readers and writers, I'm MJ, and today we're reading The Deep Sky. So it is Thursday morning before work. I wanted to come on really quickly and just kind of do an introduction to the video. I probably won't have time to read until after I get off work. So I requested an arc of the book The Deep Sky from NetGalley from Flatiron Books, and ended up reaching out and saying, hey, do you want a paper version of the book also? And I of course said yes, because it's so much easier to take pictures of paper books and just hold them up to the camera, but also to annotate them as much as I can annotate on ebooks, or try to. It's just so much easier to do it on paper. So I thought, okay, well, since they were kind enough to give me a paper copy of one of my most anticipated science fiction reads, let's just do an entire vlog about it. So here we are. And so here is what the book is about. It is the eve of the Earth's environmental collapse. A single ship carries humanity's last hope. 80 elite graduates of a competitive program who will give birth to a generation of children in deep space. But halfway to a distant but livable planet, a lethal bomb kills 3 of the crew and knocks the Phoenix off course. Asuka, the only surviving witness, is an immediate suspect. Asuka already felt like an imposter before the explosion. She was last picked for the mission. She struggled during training back on Earth, and she was chosen to represent Japan, a country she's only partly known as a half-Japanese girl raised in America. But estranged from her mother back home, the Phoenix is all she has left. With the crew turning on each other, Asuka is determined to find the culprit before they all lose faith in the mission. Or worse, the bomber strikes again. Now, in order to survive, she must burn brighter than the stars that surround her. And so this is written by Yumi Kitasai? Kitasai? Hopefully that's correct. Who is half Japanese, half American, and grew up in the space between the two cultures. She lives in Brooklyn with 2 cats, and so far has only published short fiction, so this is her debut novel. So it's very exciting. So it's a pretty sizable book, not too bad. This is the arc, so formatting could be very different, and the font's pretty big. So I'm really excited to pick it up and hopefully have coherent thoughts to say once my brain is woken up. It is Friday. I just got off of work, and I have managed to read all of 20 pages of the book, which is 4 chapters. I read it late last night after live streaming. I feel horrible. And want nothing but to curl in bed and just read. But I still have some stuff to get done. Also, I got a reminder email that the 3rd Brandon Sanderson book drops at midnight tonight. And I'm torn of whether I should keep reading The Deep Sky or abandon it for Brandon Sanderson's book. I have decided that I'm going to vlog both books in this this vlog, because I'll be reading both of them this weekend, or at least before the end of Tuesday. I don't have an extended weekend because I have to go to work on Monday, but I do have Tuesday off, so for sure by the end of Tuesday both books will have been read. I kind of want to take it easy as much as possible this weekend to kind of let myself heal, but my to-do list is also forever long. I've got to film some videos. I need to get some other content for social media, and camp NaNoWriMo starts tonight. Also, one of the readathons I'm in starts tonight. And I think maybe I possibly do too much. Huh, who would have thought? So, right now, the decision's easy. I'm going to actually go back through the 20 pages. There's some things that I wanted to annotate that I did not, so I'm going to go annotate those and then read for a bit and see how far I am, especially before midnight hits. So I'll check in later. Happy Saturday. It is Saturday morning. I got some reading done yesterday. I also watched the Angels baseball game because they were on Apple TV, so normally I don't get to actually see them with blackout, so I watched that game and we lost spectacularly, which sucks because we're trying for the wild card for the playoffs, and I really hope we get it because otherwise we're gonna lose awesome players and the team's just gonna be after that. Alright, side note, I didn't vlog anything else yesterday because I still, and I'm trying to not feel sick today because I have got way too much to do. So yeah, I need to get, it's the beginning of the month, so I try to get as much planning for the social media and stuff as possible, because otherwise it just becomes too overwhelming with, you know, everything else that I have going. Especially since, you know, I still work a 40+ hour job on top of everything else I do. So, but back to the deep sky. I actually have managed to get a fair bit in. I'm not quite halfway, I don't think. Let me see how many pages are. Well, maybe, actually. I may be about halfway. So that's cool. It isn't exactly what I was expecting, and that's not a bad thing. It's definitely more like psychological thriller or like whodunit mystery than I thought it would be. And that's probably really good because you're on this like small ship, and like what else could happen on it, I guess. I mean, I guess there's a lot of different ways that you could put it. But the world isn't like quite what the back said either. And again, I don't hate it, it's just I don't necessarily like it when it's different. And maybe maybe not. Maybe I just read it wrong. There's so many hints to what's gonna happen, and it's just to the point where that seems like it's the wrong answer. And so I'm trying to figure out like what else is going on. Because honestly, if what I have is the right answer, I'm actually going to be very, very frustrated. It has excellent characterization, and I really like, because it's third-person narration, but it's narrated from the main character, Asuka. And it's narrated from her perspective, so it's a very biased narration, and so you can kind of see, like, you're almost left with this impression of how did she even make it onto the ship if she's this, like, incompetent. But she's not incompetent at all, and you can see that try and play through the narration. And so there's some really good ways that there's like some past scenes that really start to show who she is. Also, my cat is here joining me because he doesn't like when I talk to his screen. Also, so the ship, everyone on the ship is required to give birth. So everyone has to have a uterus, which could mean very little representation, but that's not the case at all. There's actually an abundance of non-binary and trans rep on the ship, because there's only like 83 people on this ship, and there is at least 2 non-binary main characters, and I think there's actually a third, and then there's also a trans man, and 83 people, which is awesome. And then since there is also relationship drama, on a ship full of non-males, and um, it's just a great queer read, honestly, and really enjoying that aspect of it. And these young adults, because I think they're actually like in the early 20s in this book, but they've been together since they were 12 years old, so they kind of have their own, well, kind of nothing, they are their own community. And even more so now that they're isolated on the ship, but seeing all the different dynamics, it's just very beautifully written. Maybe not beautiful, but well developed and well written in that regards. It's a fairly fast read also. I mean, I'm already halfway through, and that's not with, like, obviously I'm still like taking my time and annotating and everything and still being halfway through. So the plan today is to work on a bunch of social media stuff, but also finish this book because Brandon Sanderson's new book has already dropped, but I have not downloaded it yet, and so I want to get it done. So yeah, that's the plan. So it is Saturday night, and I have finished The Deep Sky. So a fairly fast read for me, honestly, considering what I've been reading lately. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think it's a combination of science fiction book, whodunit, and some, I mean, and with like really strong characterizations in it. It was very engaging. The writing was really great. And definitely lived up to, I guess, my expectations of wanting it, you know, being one of my most anticipated releases. I love science fiction stories set in spaceships and like that whole combined how to interact with each other to do like this shared goal, because it kind of like limits the plot and then like puts the emphasis on the characters, and that's definitely what this book did. So I really enjoyed that. There's a lot of nationalism in it, and I think it spoke about some ongoing conflict, that, you know, just this national identity versus the global identity, and like how that can all come into play and not come into play. Also very queer, which was great. The only thing I didn't understand, and this is kind of spoilers, but it happens so earlier, it's mentioned so early in the book, I'm not really going to consider it spoilers, but everyone on the ship has a uterus because the expectation is in the middle of the journey they're going to all give birth. And I don't understand that reasoning. I don't understand the reasoning from like a plot standpoint. I don't understand the reasoning from a writing standpoint. Like, I don't understand the reasoning of why the author chose that. But then I also don't understand why someone would actually like build a mission that way. Like, let's give birth in the middle of the trip and then put all the newborns in hibernation. Like, or would they be newborn? They would like be like 9 years old at some point and then put them in hibernation, like the oldest ones. I don't know, it's just weird. I mean, I'm guessing that the reason they did it is so that everyone on the ship, like there were no cis males on there, maybe? I mean, that is the reason why there's not. It's just different. And not that different, except it was very weird having pregnant characters in the middle of a spaceship. And weird in a, like, I kind of liked the way, but then also it's like, but why is this happening exactly? I don't know. But I liked it. I think probably 5 stars. Definitely a really good book, one that I could see definitely rereading and would highly recommend if you like sci-fi at all to pick up, because it was really well done. So now I'm going to continue this vlog and go download Brandon Sanderson's new book. Just here. Look at that. Already beautiful artwork. Alright, let's get started. Hi. So it is now Tuesday, which means it's been a couple of days since I've actually updated my vlog. And Sunday came around and my body was like, hey, you can't keep pushing yourself when you're sick. And it was kind of a wash day for me, which isn't great because I still had so much stuff I needed to get done, that taking the day off sick was not great. So I did get some things done, but not near what I needed to get done. Then Monday I had work, and that took pretty much everything I had to get through work. So I didn't really update on that either. And then after work I just kind of passed out, actually. However, I am starting to feel better now. Actually I feel a fair bit better, but not like 100%. So I'm trying to like be careful about pushing myself to making myself sick again, but then also using this time to get stuff done, because it is Tuesday, July 4th, and I'm in the US. I do have today off work, which is great because I'm slowly going to try and get everything that I didn't get done on Sunday done. So we'll see how that goes. I'm also live streaming tonight and starting work on my project, so I'm very excited about that. I've also gotten some of my beta reader feedback back for Neurodiverse, and I am very conflicted. So that's hard. I sent it out to 4 readers, and I've gotten very in-depth feedback from 2 of them, and the feedback is very different from each other. So hopefully the other 2 feedback I get will help clear that up, because the aim I'm trying to get at in that novel seems to vary based upon who is reading it, especially since Neurodiverse is from the perspective of a non-binary and autistic individual. And so when I sent it out to beta readers, I tried to do different perspectives, autistic, non-binary, as well as, queer, as well as neither of those, to try and get a different perspective. And I definitely got a different perspective, but maybe my approach was not the best. It's great feedback, great beta reader. Like, I really appreciate the work that they've done on it. It's just now, as an author, my mind's kind of spinning about what decisions I'm going to make with the novel and where I want it to go, and then how that's going to end up being perceived when I launch it. Especially since I do, at least, these first 3 novels, I really am writing to autistic readers because there's just not books that write to us. But then I had some naive hope that neurotypical readers would enjoy them as well. It's maybe that was just idealistic because autistic readers have to read neurotypical work all the time, but I just, yeah. So that's okay. I still have 2 more beta readers to get feedback back from, and then try and figure out what decisions I want to make with that novel. But not yet. I get to write my next novel, which I think will be a little bit more mainstream, and that's actually what I'm going for. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know, maybe it won't be mainstream. Maybe I'm incapable of writing mainstream, but I'm gonna try. Alright, back on to like actual reading. So I have started the 3rd secret novel of Brandon Sanderson. Okay, so the title is Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. I am 34% of the way through this book, which is about 162 pages according to my e-reader. And I can say with absolute certainty that of the 3 secret novels we have had so far, this is my least favorite. That being said, I didn't really like Tress in the Emerald Sea at first either, and then it really grew on me. So I'm hoping this one will grow on me also. I think why I'm not liking as well is it does seem a little bit more YA, which I guess it kind of is. Like, the main characters are 19 years old, but to me, they come across a lot older. Like, there was no reason for them to be 19, in my opinion. Especially with a lot of the inner dialogue and such. To me, it made a lot more sense to have put them in their mid-20s. Early 20s at least. Mid-20s. One of the characters has already gone through school and is in a professional career at 19 years old, which could just be a cultural difference. But at the same time, I haven't found out a reason for why they're 19 as opposed to just like forcing it. And so I think that's kind of not helping me connect to the novel, is this disconnect in my head between the characters' ages and then how they're approaching the situation. But then I also haven't figured out the point of the novel yet, like why I should be connected to it. So, I mean, it's not bad, obviously. I mean, it's Brandon Sanderson, so, but it's also, it's not great yet either. So I'm hopeful, but it's definitely not a fast favorite. That being said, it's not like a bad read. I mean, Brandon Sanderson is still an amazing writer, and so it's not like I have to like slodge through bad written work. It's just that the actual like plot isn't quite working with me. And I'm sure many other people will have very different opinions, and that is the wonderful thing about reading. When I do go through this book, I will try and keep it spoiler free, so you don't have to worry about being spoiled when you read it. I'll just give my thoughts and impressions without like the plot to the book. The most I'll do is actually spoil the title, which I've tried not to do in previous books. Kate Cat, I'm trying to film, love. But it's already all over Instagram, so I think if you don't want to know the title, it almost is like too late for that. So, but that's the most I'll spoil. It's the title. Alright. It's a long update, but I guess to make up for, you know, ghosting you for 2 days. I'm going to sit down and read, and slowly, my plan for today is to like read a bit and then do some things on my to-do list and then read a bit to help me like slow down and relax. And so I will check in later when I have more to say about what I am reading. So it's now Saturday, so I know it's been forever since I have updated you on my reading. I can't remember honestly where I even left off, but I'm pretty sure I was sick the last time that I was vlogging, and I thought I was feeling better, and then that turned into a sinus infection, which I've been battling for the last couple of days, and I'm starting to finally feel a little bit better, but still not great, and that really impacted this vlog. Specifically, the second book I wanted to add onto it, which I was very excited to talk about my experience, Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, the third secret novel, Brandon Sanderson. It also didn't help that I didn't turn out to love this book. I mean, it's fine, and it's great, and it's well written, and it's Sanderson, so obviously it's good. But, I enjoyed the other two secret novels more, and I'm okay with that, even though I know not everyone's going to agree. Even Sanderson said in the end of the book, the writing, and no spoilers, but even he said that he tried to add more romance into this book. And as y'all know, that's just not my thing. And I'm really starting to feel like romantasy is taking over fantasy, and it kind of is frustrating me. And because like it was a safe space for me to read in, and now it's like, oh, but yeah, you don't get that either. And I know it's kind of dumb, and I know most people are not me, but it still is kind of, I don't know, I just like, Sanderson's a safe read. It's not like Alpha Male, and it's not romantasy, and it's always like a really enjoyable place to sneak into his book. And to his world, and to like even have him like portray me like that. I mean, it's great that he's trying new things, and the book was good, and I think a lot of people will write it, or will really like it, and I liked it. I just didn't like it as well. I did have one issue with it, and that is the main characters are 19 years old, and there's no reason for it. 19 years old, they're finished with school, and they're professionals. Now, on one of the characters that I'm not going to get into because no spoilers, it kind of makes sense. I could see that. But not from the way she acts. Doesn't act like a 19-year-old. And then from the other character, it makes no sense to me. I mean, to already be firmly established in a career at 19 years old, and to have the baggage that he has from that, it was too much for me. And there was, in my opinion, and everyone can completely disagree with me, but in my opinion, nothing could have changed about the story, and they could have been like 25, 28 years old. And I would have bought that. And all they would have had to change is the age. Nothing else would have had to change. And to me, that's like, wait, so why did you make them 19? And again, that's not going to be an issue for other people, but I didn't see it. So there's that. I really did enjoy the last third of the novel. The world, the build up of the conflict. That was very interesting. I did get a little confused, but I think even Sanderson realized that, and he was like, okay, I'll help y'all out. But by the time he had helped y'all out, I'd already figured it. Like, I already became less confused. So I think he had rebounded on his own, but then, like, put a failsafe in for other people that would be, like, that, like, wouldn't have, which I think is a lot of people. I'm not gonna lie. It gets very weird, for a bit. And it's just not... So the first two novels were almost like Trust and Emerald Sea was, like, more fantasy. Like fairy tale fantasy. And then what the Frugal Guides, the Wizard's Guide to the Frugal Handbook, or whatever the actual title is, that's almost like a Douglas Adams kind of writing, like really funny science fiction. And then Yumi and the Nightmare Painter is more like romantasy. So they're all different styles, and it was really cool seeing that from Sanderson and seeing him try new things and be creative. In fact, there's this paragraph in this book, which I quoted, which is like something along the lines of like, no one teaches you how to still move forward when you're feeling like stuck and you're not feeling creative anymore. And that's not exactly what the quote is, obviously, but if you want to read what it is, I quoted it on my Threads account, which I opened and may have spent a lot of time on while I'm not on this vlog. So you can go read it on there and follow me. Let me know, and I will make sure I'm following you back, because sometimes Threads is automatically following people back and sometimes it's not. So if I'm not following you, let me know, and I will make sure to do that. But yeah, so, but you can go read the whole quote there, but you could kind of see where, like, you could kind of see that maybe Sanderson was suffering from this creative burnout, and these were his way of, like, coping and releasing with that. And he says in the back of the book that this is his favorite, and I respect that. And it is not mine, and it's totally cool that that's the case. That being said, it's still a good book. Like, I'm still going to be very happy to have it on my shelf, and I really, really like the ending. Just the world building of it, and just like the idea behind it. And you can tell there's a lot of thought. And I mean, like, Sanderson is a master of what he does, so it's not a bad book at all. I just wish the characters were older, and it was just a little too, for my taste, and that's cool. And I feel like I have to, like, justify why I didn't love it. And maybe I shouldn't have to. There we go. Yeah, so that's the note I'm ending this vlog on. The Deep Sky, amazing, adored it. You should absolutely go check it out. Great read. Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, I think a lot of y'all will really enjoy it. I still think it was worth a read. I'm still glad I picked it up, like, immediately. Still would be very happy to have on my shelf, but it is not my favorite of the secret novels. And that is my reading vlog. So I hope you all enjoyed. I hope it wasn't too chaotic, and I will figure out what vlog I'm going to be doing next month. So, as always, keep reading, keep writing, and until next time.